Hi,
Hello, Max.
hi, Miles.
Good to see you back in
Yeah,
Devizes.
nice to see you. How are you?
We're in a post-disclosure situation since the
Yes.
last time you've talked, and briefly that means that MI6 agent, a retiring MI6 agent called Peter Paget, declared in public at the Warminster thing in August last year that the whole UFO thing is real.
Right, right.
And but he's only allowed to say it to no more than about 150 people, so he kept within the rules. But one of the things he said is about the whole ET thing. He went into a great deal of detail. Was the structure of the way the planet is run, and he explained how that went in the pyramid sort of structure. But there are other levels of control of others above. Also suggested there was going to be a change in that situation.
Okay.
So you're able to talk a lot about the details in the various meanings of things.
Yeah. Yes. So what I can talk to you about is the unfolding of it here, and how it's reflected throughout society, and how I don't have the specifics on the detail of the hierarchy of the ET hierarchy, but I do know that there's been an exchange. There's been exchange over of power. If you want to say that the Anunnaki, as we know them, the Anunnaki has been sort of the head or in control of this planet, and sort of like finalizing details. But it was handed to them, so they were never at the top. They were never at the top anyway. So it was the Orion. I'm going to use the word queens. The Orion feminine energy from the Orion. They're called the Orion group. There's the
This
Orion
is also
system.
echoed by Stuart Sverdlow, who essentially said one lot is going to go.
There's a handover. There's a shift. Yeah,
yeah.
back. Well, because they were. Maybe you could call it leased. They were leasing it. They were leasing the control of the planet for a certain amount of time from this other consciousness. Now they have to give it back.
Now, this was discussed at the Secret Space Program conference near Austin in Texas.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And they mentioned about contracts. If humanity was able to get its act together and renegotiate the lease,
Right.
so
Right.
to speak, we could then control our own domain.
We've handed over our power, though. We've handed over our power to these people for the longest time, anyway. So it's not. I don't think it's really in our hands to be able to negotiate anything very much if we've handed over our power to them. It's about understanding why we did that in the first place, and understanding how this reality is created and built, and having an understanding of that, and understanding that the subconscious is what creates this reality.
The reason why I'm suggesting this about this handover of power, because and about the lease that you're talking about, is there's a premise, there's a possibility at this time, whether it is a possibility or not, another one or not, but we could essentially take control of the situation before the next lot get back in.
Right. Now, I'd gone into talking about the reality and
Yes.
how reality is being made, and that's sort of where I'm at to talk about. So, in terms of that, so if reality is being made through the subconscious, and again the subconscious has been hijacked, okay, so then this is basically what's been done. So they have created thought prisons throughout all of our time. So thought prisons being philosophical thought prisons, or religious thought prisons, or any of the ones that are like that. They don't mind which one you buy into, as long as you buy into one of them and give it wholeheartedly, give your whole heart into it. Because essentially, like I've been trying to work on at the moment and explain, that this is a war on the human heart, and Earth is the final part of multiple other planets that this has been done to, and Earth is the heart center place. So they're trying to take control of the Earth because it's the heart, and by the way to do that is attack innocence. And the first thing you're going to do if you're going to take over a planet is you want to take away the strongest male energy. So that's been done very calculatedly, especially over the 20th century, with the inversion, the inversion of the original Baphomet. The original Baphomet, I think we were talking to you about this earlier, wasn't an androgynous goat of Mendes pointing as above, so below like that at all. But Eliphas Levi then created this goat to show what it would be to externally create a male and female in one body, to have an androgynous being that way. And I think I've talked about the Mona Lisa being sort of the same thing. It never made any sense to me why that particular picture or that particular painting was the most famous painting in the world. Why?
Yes,
why?
that's
It's not a fantastic painting.
Yeah, that's the mystery about why is it a mystery.
And then so you have Mona, and in Freemasonry they use the word Mona a lot because it's Ammon. It's an anagram for Ammon. And then Lisa, which would be in Italian, it would be El Isa, which is Isis. So it's like the union of Ammon Ra and Isis into one body. That's what the Baphomet is. That the goat that they're always showing, that imagery that Eliphas Levi painted and created. So to take out the planet, first of all, they need to take away the strong males of the planet. And so there's a massive push and a surge to emasculate the males on this planet, and it's a very touchy subject because you can't really go too far with it without being called a bigot or without being called.
Well, it's a bit like the Jew term that
yeah,
immediately triggers.
You're immediately condemned if you say anything that goes against kind of the mainstream thought of that. So I'm being careful, and I'm not prejudiced in any way, but there is quite clearly an agenda going on with that, and the Jenner story, which showing that they could, right in front of our eyes, take a gold medal Olympic athlete and then turn him into a female, was also embedding into the subconscious that. Look what we can do. Look what we can do to you if we want to.
It's like the Monarch program. The first model they used, one of America's finest model ladies, and they mind controlled her in the Monarch program.
Yeah. Well,
they can take the finest and the best of what you've got. And we
yeah,
can just
exactly that. And then that's quite clearly an agenda for anyone who's sort of got their eyes open to see that. Talking about that, if you're trying to attack the human heart and you're trying to finish that's the earth is the heart, and our connection to the earth. All the human beings on the earth are connected to the heart, and the attack on children and the pedophile rings that are attached to all the things that are going on at the moment are to do with attacking the innocence of human beings.
And a lot of these children's homes are on energy lines, so
right.
that the trauma from what those children go through is
they're
ingested into the earth's energetic system.
Yeah, so all of it's an inversion of all the sacred geometrical, the natural creative sacred geometrical patterns have been inverted. So all the Gothic cathedrals. All of the sort of main buildings, all of the architecture, architecture goes back to masonry as well. They have all the grid lines, they have the maps, and they have all the information for all the grid lines all over the planet. So they've been doing that, and they've managed to, not just because we tend to think of all the old, the old Gothic buildings being the ones that are sacredly geometrically built, but all the modern stuff is as well. It's just it's unseen. It's not as clear. When you walk into a cathedral, you quite clearly see that it's there, but it's also with the modern buildings. It's the same way. So they're inverting. I was in addition to this. So with this they can't implement this. They can't put this all into play like immediately. It has to be done in a drip, slowly put it into place, because otherwise people would revolt against it. But slowly they've been being able to increase the amount of vileness in like mainstream television, slowly with creating animated television that is we're told that it was created for adults, like South Park or like Family Guy. We're told these are adult shows, but you know, anytime you're going to have an animated show, they know that children are going to be drawn to it, especially with South Park when it's being based around children. So children are watching the most unbelievably vile things, and that's an attempt again to, it's one of the sidearms of taking away the innocence, because the core heart is innocence.
Christine Joanna Hart, who you've been on her show, she's mentioned about her child and about the kind of books that they're being read, that they have to read as part of their education course. It has slaughter and blood and all sorts of horrendous things. And this is dismissed as just, oh, this is an award-winning author, you should be reading it. But this is for children, not, this is for young children.
You want to keep an eye on who's writing the children's books. And, you see a lot of celebrities writing children's books. I'm not going to name any names, but you can go and look around and find that I name one. Madonna has written a number of children's books. There are others too. It's out there pretty much that Madonna is a high priestess, and it's very clear if you watch any of her number of her performances at any of the big shows that she's doing ritualistic work. She's doing that, and she's writing children's books because they want to get to children, because children is the raw innocence. They're not so much interested in the later years because you sort of already adapted your thought patterns and your thought prisons. You've already sort of dealt with that. You already dealt with, so they're not interested. So they're always going after the children. They're increasingly the children's books are increasingly vile. And I'll bring up Roald Dahl, and I remember being read Roald Dahl when I was a kid, and Roald Dahl, I was always fascinated by his stories, and they are quite brilliant, but they also are quite vile as well. And Roald Dahl was an MI6 agent and worked with
Ian Fleming,
Crowley, Fleming, and Dahl, and Churchill actually all worked together. But I know, on this particular thing, Dahl was working with Fleming, and I think there is a Parkinson interview where I found a Parkinson interview where he openly said he was working for MI6 during the Second World War. That's the only time that it's out there. So he is an insider, so throughout his books he will put truths, because that's what they tend to do. They always want to tell you what they're doing. They'll always tell you in one way or another what they're doing or how they're going to do it, because that's part of the contract as well. It's part of the thing. If they tell you what they're doing and you're not smart enough to pick it up, then they can get away with it karmically. It's sort of a loophole in the karmic law, that if they tell you, and you don't do anything about it, then more fool you.
Yes, this is a fundamental principle of what we're giving up, how we give our permissions away.
Absolutely.
The idea is to pull those permissions back.
Yes, and definitely Dahl is definitely an interesting one to look into. You could do a whole talk on Roald Dahl, Ian Fleming, and Crowley just in and of itself. Anyway, so Fleming was also an MI6 insider, and so you have peppered throughout all the Bond movies, which were Broccoli, the Broccoli family funded. They're the money behind it. So nothing I think his name's Albert. Nothing gets through at all unless he sees everything. He's like he sees the final cut of everything. So the Broccoli family are a military intelligence family as well, connected through the Second World War. This is all Project Paperclip stuff, and Dahl is connected to Paperclip and connected to CIA as well. So going back to Dahl's books and going back to children's books and how significant they are. So if you're reading those stories to children, and they're layered with subconscious imagery, subconscious letters, then that's going to be embedded within the child, and then this particular consciousness that is doing this here is purely and simply a vampiric consciousness. It doesn't have a central core energy to feed itself. It has to take from others. It doesn't naturally understand what giving is. It has to take from other beings. That's how it works. So this false reality that's manifested and created here is done by embedding images and sounds and ideas into into children's minds, and then you grow up having and thinking that, also textbooks, like we were saying with children's textbooks, you're given what the fundamental ideas of what we're told history is and how we're told the world is, and then that is then put to the conscious mind, and then so we believe it to be, so then we manifest a false reality. So we're living out a reality that really wouldn't be isn't our natural state at all. So that we're kept in a sort of anytime a child reads something that is vile, it may want to come back and see it again, because children have that sort of that need, but or that desire to look at something they're not supposed to. But it does give them a traumatized reaction, and that traumatized reaction, that energy from that traumatized reaction, can then be harvested. That works as well through the movies, the horror movies that are coming out now. Like, I used to think the horror movies from the 70s, the Italian horror movies from the 70s were the most intense and the most gruesome that you could be. But they've taken it a step further with the extreme nature of the Saw movies and those movies. All the movie theaters themselves are also built on energy grid points. So to harvest the energy from the fear of the people watching the movies. So
the whole thing's set up.
Yeah, to make sure, because fear energy is the best energy for them to then take and then go and create, to create the false reality. They don't understand the love energy. They don't understand it. So their mentality is to conquer and destroy, and it's always about self-preservation, conquering and destroying. They don't take care of it. This particular consciousness doesn't take care of its young. If its young are weakened, it discards them and throws them away. The mammalian consciousness feeds its young and nurtures its young, takes care of it. Whereas that manifests how they are as adults as well. They have no time for anybody who's weak, or anybody who has a disability, or anybody who is physically less than. They think that as a weakness in the gene pool, and would rather have that wiped out. That's a very primordial.
It's like the Spartans.
Yeah,
the way the Spartans leave the children out, and if they die, they die.
Yeah, because that consciousness wants to. It knows very, very well how to keep going and surviving as far down. If it's trying to win, it's trying to defeat. It's trying to defeat the heart. Okay, this whole plane, this whole war here on this particular planet, not other planets, but this planet. This whole war is about taking out the heart completely, and so it's about survival. The human is about the heart, and the Spartans would leave out their children, and the 10 children, and then if 2 survived, then they would take those 2, and then they would be stronger, because but then that's taking empathy out of the equation, or compassion out of the equation. Because
but it's
they don't have
this
that
loving awareness thing that some people used, and the all you need is love slogan from the 60s.
Right.
I mean, is that to counter that, or what? Or?
I think that the 60s was infiltrated. The 60s movement, there was a consciousness movement that happened in the 60s for sure, and I think that there was a sort of an injection of I'm using that term injection. There was an infusion of souls. Volunteer souls that came in the 50s and 60s, who were perhaps born in the 50s, that were growing up in the 60s and early 70s, that were here to try and change things. And it was very, very quickly infiltrated by Leary and others like him, and with the tune in and drop out consciousness. And they wanted to definitely get LSD involved. They definitely wanted to get LSD involved because it's a synthetic form of hallucinogenic, you know, and all the ayahuasca experiences and other like natural hallucinogenic experiences, you know, it's questionable whether they can be beneficial. I think sometimes they can be beneficial, sometimes they can open your third eye and you can see things. At other times they can cause massive harm to people, and that could cause trauma that then affects them for the rest of their lives. But LSD being synthetic, it's not so good. It's not so good. So they used the Beatles, which is a Tavistock creation, to then make sure, you know, to inject Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and you know, the Transit, which is LSD initials. They were getting people to do that, you know, and then manipulating. So you know, if you get a large number of people doing LSD, and then you've also got control of you know, with the thought prisons that were around at the time, the different
that's the New Age
philosophies.
Stuff.
Yeah, well, the New Age stuff sort of began when, sort of perhaps, maybe the New Age movement as it stands now sort of began at the end of the 80s, maybe.
Oh, I thought it was a lot earlier. Is that
not
a hippie thing?
I don't think that maybe what you think New Age is hippie. I think perhaps it might be different. Maybe New Age is hippie.
Well,
then. Okay, let's say it is. Maybe it began in the 60s.
They might be wrong, but
it was certainly ended and hijacked at the Altamont concert with the Rolling Stones, with the ritual killing. With the, you know, the Rolling Stones are a satanic band. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't like some Stones songs, because I do, but I know that there's an agenda behind it, and I know that the death of and I've forgotten the name of the person that died at the Altamont, but it was in 1969.
Yeah.
And that was the sort of end, and then, you know,
and it was protected by the Hells Angels, which are a Masonic order.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the Hells Angels had to be there for the ritual to be correct. They had to have those, that, you know, and sort of Hells Angels is sort of a double bind in and of itself, isn't it, really? Because you sort of wouldn't have angels in hell, would you?
Yeah.
So even the word hell, even the term Hell's Angel is could be is a trigger word. There's a trigger word in and of it, or trigger words in and of itself. Any double bind is. Anytime you put two opposing thoughts or thought ideas into one sort of term, you can trigger somebody with it. So where are we at, Miles?
We're at the control of the planet by and how the whole media industry, the whole entertainment industry is full of this pedophile stuff. So I mean, as we speak, there's a huge report that's about the Jimmy Savile thing going through. Yeah. And also the another subject which we discussed was a gentleman called Aquino. Do you want to say anything about that?
Well, I don't know enough about really to go into too much to tell you too much about him.
Yeah.
I just, because, you know, there's legal implications to do with that, because he was involved in a legal trial, and I'd rather sort of let the people who know about that specifically, like I think you probably go to Douglas Dietrich for information on Mr. Aquino, but there's certainly if you just pull the covers back a little bit, you'll find massive connections to the Temple of Set, the Church of Satan, and they're all interconnected, and they're trying to bring about. They're playing out a storyline. They're using revelations from the Bible as a storyline, as a storybook, and they're trying to sort of that's why that's the most embedded book, you know. And King James altered it and changed it around and inverted all of true Christ's teachings. True Christ's teachings weren't really anything to do with most of the stuff that's written in there. The core of Christ's teachings were about compassion and caring about other people, and not about
well, you have a vengeful God and all that.
All the Old Testament stuff. Yeah, I mean that's Anu. All of the Old Testament is basically, you know, Anu and his crew, who Anu and his people like to imitate. They come down here and imitate others and pretend to be things that they aren't.
So what about these gods which have all come to Earth?
Okay, so
why now?
Okay,
And why do they have to, these gods? Why must they be in human bodies?
There is, because this particular changeover and this transfer point has never happened before. Has never happened like this before.
Well,
there are multiple cycles that are coming to an end. Yeah. There are multiple. There's a 3,600 year cycle that's coming to an end. I think there's a 13,000 year cycle that's coming to an end. I think there's a 25,500 year cycle that's coming to an end. So they're all coming to an end at this point. And so there was sort of a need to come down and experience this changeover in a physical body down here now, because the experience to be in a physical body now and go through this changeover is like nothing else that's ever happened before.
Why is that important?
Well, because it's going from a race, a growing species is going from being completely in the dark to then all of a sudden being completely knowing and understanding what's gone on with them. And this is the planet of amnesia, and so everyone's walking around not knowing who they are. So to experience going from not knowing to knowing is a massive. It is like nothing else.
What is it that we've forgotten?
Well,
is that a contradiction in terms?
No, it isn't. So who you said amnesia?
We've got a planet of amnesia where this is some kind of place where we're all captured. There's lots of different races here.
It's not everybody on this planet is in amnesia. So this vampiric consciousness that's here, that's in control of it, are coming here with memories. They're coming down here with memories. There's an interesting analogy that somebody said to me before, and I sort of elaborated on it a little bit. It's almost like it's a holographic, very, very, very real video game where they came down and they had the rule books and all the cheats, and we were left and scattered across the planet with nothing. So they're holding the cheat book. They have the cheat book. So they're coming here with previous memories of lifetimes. So they built the great work of ages that they all talk about, and that the Masons are all so glee and so happy about that they want to complete, is putting the capstone back on the top of the pyramid. And replacing the capstone on the pyramid would be meaning that they had complete control of the human heart and this planet. That isn't going to happen. That isn't going to happen. All the groundwork and all the work has already been done to stop that from happening. But so we're now just going to sort of play it out, and it's going to unfold. So people here have already chosen, if they haven't learned the lessons, or they haven't fully understood the lessons to be learned in 3D master-slave dualistic reality, then they will go to another frequency or a similar type of plane as this one and redo the life cycle lessons over and over again. If the ones that, because I believe that the ones that are going to be left here are going to be the ones to build the new paradigm, and the new paradigm is going to be built with an understanding and an acceptance of each other, where it's not about it will be about where we'll understand that harming somebody else, or attempting to harm somebody else, because you'll have an intrinsic understanding that the other person is actually you wouldn't want to go and harm them, because you'd know you'd be harming yourself. And so that will, the people that are left to build that here will, so what essentially, whatever you think of yourself, whatever you believe, you think you are the imagination of yourself. I'm definitely sure of that. I'm definitely sure what you feel about you'll sort of manifest outwardly to other people. And so that's...
Is that the whole trick? Is that because we're able to manifest?
And they can't manifest.
And if they get us, they're going to get us to manifest
for
ourselves out of existence so they can have the planet.
Well, they want, no, because they need us as batteries. Remember, because they can't build. They're not. It's funny. They call themselves builders. Because Freemasons or masonry means building or architecture, and it's ironic really, because they can't build. They're the ones who can't. They're the ones who can build, who do the building. That's probably one of their cosmic jokes again. The ones who can build are the ones who we're using us to build for them, because they don't have a central core to build. So that I wouldn't think that they would, if you know, I think every single possible reality is played out. Every single possible thing, even a reality where this chair was a different color, or where you didn't have turkey for lunch. Every single possibility is played out. So in the reality that's played out, where they do win, and where they're victorious, they would have a slave race that was an androgynous slave race, probably kept down to a lot less people on the planet than there are now. They would probably keep. I don't know. I mean,
this seems to be happening now. The androgynous.
Yeah, it sort of does. It sort of does, and they sort of are doing that. But it's not. But they haven't done it completely, because there are still warriors on this planet who are standing up and speaking and fighting back and doing something. So they haven't. You know, they are trying to do it, and it seems like they're getting closer to it. But they completely control the media in every way. So you know, how do I really know that what they put on the television is really what's going on? I don't know if any of that's true. I don't really know if you know, that's a bit like Wag the Dog, that movie that De Niro and Hoffman did, you know, where it's all, you know, the news media, where they show, you know, everything that they show is just literally to sway the mind or the public opinion into whatever direction they want to.
Well, in the United States, they've now made it legal for news to be completely fictional. Not that it wasn't fictional in the first place.
I don't.
They've actually you can actually lie on American news legally. You can have a fictional story, no basis in reality.
On a network
mainstream.
Okay, well, so that sort of ties in with the blurring of the lines of everything, doesn't it? Because you know, they want to blur the lines of everything so that there's confusion. And so I think I said before, like one of their mottos, Masonic mottos, is Ordo ab Chaos, which is order out of chaos. And so what they want to do is create literally as much chaos by blurring the lines of everything, whether it's sexuality or whatever, so that then they can implement their new world system.
So when we have people that have contempt for government, contempt for major broadcasters and the press, it's actually they want that.
Yeah, and
undermining of authority.
And then, so you know, with the Savile thing was really, really, you know, significant in pointing in the direction of going, you know, because Prince Charles had so many connections to Savile, and you know, there's very clear royal ties to Savile, very, very, you know, very clear. So you know, it's becoming clearer and clearer that perhaps, you know, the royal family, you know, may even to the common, you know, regular person, that maybe that they are involved. So I wouldn't be surprised if they used all of those as fall guys, and they used all of these people that we have grown up with, seeing and idolized. That's also another attack on the heart too.
Yeah. You
know, we grew up idolizing these people and thinking they were just, you know, fantastic and loving them, falling in love with them. We fall in love with our movie stars. We fall in love with the people we see on television every day. And then it was set up that 20 years later that we're being told that they sexually abuse children. That's a heartbreak in itself.
Yes.
And I think that was calculated in and of itself to do that. So they can use all these people as fall guys, and then they can say, look, you know, we rounded all the bad guys have actually, in fact, you know, they've all gone. They're all fallen, and we've got them all. Or I don't know who's going to do that, but so then let's implement, you know, a new system, which is a centralized system. So none of this will ever happen again.
Yeah, we'll have to. So who are the fall guys?
The fall guy.
Irwin calls them the second degrees. They're all expendable, but they don't.
Yeah, they are all. I would say they don't know they are, but remember, this consciousness is the ultimate double-crossing consciousness. That what they say they do the opposite of. They're the ultimate manipulative serpentine consciousness. Yeah.
What does that mean, serpentine? Are they actually serpents, or
well,
Draco, or whatever?
I mean, that's going into the hierarchy, the ET hierarchy. I think that. So I mean, we all have a reptilian brain, or an R complex, the amygdala brain, and they seem to be working just through that part of the brain. So there's the neo-mammalian brain, which is the compassion and empathic brain. There's the reptilian brain. Could that mean that because they work through that part of the brain so much that they could appear to be have physical DNA of reptilian DNA? Look that way. I don't see why not. I don't see why that seems so outrageous. Yes, so that very possibly could be. But remember, they're working through that part of the brain. So anybody who wants to study the amygdala brain or the reptilian brain, then you will know what they're like. And they're double crossers, and they're liars, and they're two-faced, and they are survival oriented, and yeah, I mean, obsessive compulsive, might is right. It's definitely worth looking into, the amygdala brain, and that's what they work through primarily. So could they have scales? Could they? Absolutely. Why not? I think if you are the imagination of yourself, and they are that, and I believe that, and then yes, definitely. I think that this is coming from like I said, the Orion group. That area of the galaxy is they're sort of dinosaur-looking sort of being, like literally like saurian looking beings.
So where is Max going these days? What's your interest? What's plans?
Okay, so what am I doing? I'm working very much on solutions and trying to preserve the human heart, and trying to find out, or trying to work with others who are also doing that. And you know, there's all this military intelligence connections, and there really are, and there's lots of that. And I could talk for hours on that type of stuff. But I've been trying to go to a more solution-oriented sort of place, so that
rather than fear,
rather than hammering more fear, because then more fear is what they do. So maybe try something that opposes what they're doing. You know. So where am I headed? I'm doing that. I'm trying to. What I wanted to do is I wanted to get a group together of people who have been through these MK projects, which in the 70s and 80s, which I know a number of people who went through these MK projects in the 70s and 80s, and have it so that anybody else who'd gone through that, there could be a support network, or a support, where somebody could come and they wouldn't feel completely isolated, and because most of us don't survive those things. 99.999% don't survive. And the ones who do survive sort of left out in the cold, so to speak, and their stories are sort of pushed aside as crazy and insane, and this really does go on,
There's an awful lot of people coming forward to this stuff.
And it's fantastic.
And the paedophilia is one thing, but these ritual child killings is just...
Yeah, I mean, satanic SRA, satanic ritual abuse, is is a part of, a lot of people's stories. And there's the American Psych Association have even set up a group to counter this, to shut people down who are coming out and saying this stuff.
Oh.
Because there's so many, specific group to shut that down.
Not to help them, but just to get...
because...
But why? That means it must be involved.
Right. Well, of course it is. Yeah, it definitely is. And that's not meaning that everybody who's like it with any of these fields, that's not meaning that everybody who's involved with it, with that particular field, is doing those things. But at the highest levels, it does work in a pyramid structure, and at the top, they are doing that. They definitely are doing that. And it's just there's more and more names coming out now that are just bizarre. that you would never have expected. And the thing is that to definitely look out for is they're going to make your heroes look like it was set up 20, 30, 40 years ago to layer these heroes into your hearts, and then now in this present day tell you that they're actually this, that, or the other child,
which is of course
killers,
been happening
is
for the last
heartbreaking
year or two.
And people don't want to accept it either. They don't want to accept that. So that's the truth. So a lot still won't accept it when they hear, even when they, that Savile is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this stuff.
I've been speaking to a young social worker, and she just is amazed that the scale of the paedophilia is absolutely massive.
Yeah, and they all cover each other's backs too. They all take care of one another. So it's like they're very, very careful to protect one another, because it's not really about sexuality. It's about energy. It's about taking the innocence. It's about harming the heart, and it's about taking the innocence, the energy, because that gives stealing that energy then gives them the energy they need to go and build or do and create whatever they want to create. So it's actually sort of outside of a sexuality thing almost.
But however, the victims are...
Exactly, right. Right.
And we do have somebody who is going to come to this country from Canada. She's targeting trying to heal people, teach healers or therapists to try and heal.
For that specific thing. And so I wrote a post on Facebook, and there's people that know me on Facebook, and people are welcome to speak to me about that. But I want to start a support group for people who've been through any of Monarch is only one, that's beta, like sex kitten sort of control, but there's Delta mind control, and there's a whole number of other ones that children have been through, and I don't see any support groups for it anywhere. Go look on the internet, you won't find any support.
Well, we tried to get one going earlier a couple of years ago, but
that sort of went crashed down. So I will do Christine Hart's show again, and maybe I'll bring that up then about possibly putting something like that together.
Apart from Facebook, how do people get hold of Max Spiers if they want to? Or do you want people to get hold of you?
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely want people to get hold of me. I can give my email address. I'm in the process at the moment of a dear friend of mine is building a website for me. So when that's up and done,
that's up we can.
Yeah. So as it stands now, my email address is. The best way to do it would be through Facebook. Yeah.
Just Facebook for now. It's better to leave. You don't want to get another email.
I don't really know. Yeah. That's be best to do
Okay.
it
Well, I think we have to catch a train.
All right.
So
all right.
We'll wrap this up for now and have a great show tomorrow.
All right. Yeah. Thank
Proving
you.
very controversial.
Yeah.
And heated, which is good radio. Good. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Miles, for the opportunity, though. And I would like to do a second part of this,
Switch this thing back on. It's easy enough to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.